honestly, I got a couple of stories to tell you about optimizing the whole, because in the end, these principles conflict with each other. You know, I said don't multitask, but make sure you don't forget knowledge. Well, then people say, what if I have a team that's doing development? Surely they shouldn't do support, but if they do support, if they don't do support, then we're going to lose their knowledge. So how do you solve that problem? There will be things like that that create conflict amongst these goals because they're not mutually exclusive. You can't just take one of them and say that is the most important one. You have to make trade-offs between these principles. And the one on the bottom is the one that tells you how to make trade-offs. And that is, the objective is to optimize the whole system. You have to look at the thing from a high-level perspective, not from a local perspective. Looking at stuff from a local perspective will almost always suboptimize the top level. So if we look at this, optimize the whole, let's talk about Zara. You have Zara here. Yeah. Occasionally, okay. They do fashion clothing, and these guys can go from design to store in like 2 weeks. If you have a team that wins and have a special color, they'll change the color in the local store so that they can sell the right team color, all kinds of stuff like that. Their store managers see what's selling, and twice a week they send in orders to the headquarters in Spain, and it's on a truck, and it's here the next day. No, it's here within 48 hours from the time that they send in the order, and by that morning they have to have it on the shelf ready to sell. And the reason is because they think of fashion clothing like perishable food, like milk or meat. So you can't have that stuff staying around very long. You only have a certain amount of time from the time it's meat till the time it's in the store and then sold. And they think of fashion that way. And they manufacture in small lots, mostly at co-ops in Western Spain. They also have some big factories, but they can radically change the size of the factories really fast to match demand. And they don't try to go to Asia for cheap labor because they figure they need to be able to respond rapidly to what's going on. So if you were their sales, their shipping manager, you would not get gold stars for having the lowest shipping cost because they surely don't. They ship hanging on hangers on airplanes, ready to put on store shelves, not even folded. If you were their manufacturing manager, you would not get credit for having the lowest manufacturing costs. But here's where they make their money. They have a lot of new products. 11,000, their competitors might have 3,000. 85% of what they have is sold at full price. Their competitors have 60 to 70%. And they have less than 10% unsold items. So where is the money out here? It's right here. This is where they're making money. And they understand that by making money here, they cannot optimize manufacturing costs and shipping costs. It would be foolhardy to do so. So they think about the whole system, not just a part. Here's another case. This is Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines is an interesting US airline. In 1973, they had 4 planes and they were going bankrupt, so they had to sell one. So they only had 3 planes left. They were just doing 3 cities in Texas: Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. And they weren't competing against other airlines. They understood that they were competing against cars because they knew that it's 1 hour by plane and 4 hours by driving. But if they cut flights, then the guy that wanted to get from Houston to San Antonio, he'd go to the plane airport and you have to wait a couple hours. So what good is that? You may as well drive. So they wanted to have just as many flights. So what they did was say, well, we could turn our planes around in 10 minutes, and then we could have just as many flights with 3 planes as we used to have with 4. And they did. Now they don't do 10 minutes anymore, but they did then. And then they passed some laws. You can't push off when people are standing and stuff like that. So they discovered that they could run on 3/4 of the asset base of their competitors. Even today, their planes are in the sky 2 hours longer than any competitors. Their turnaround time is 20 minutes shorter at every airport on the average than their competitors. And they understand that it's airplanes in the air that makes them money. Every one of their competitors, on the other hand, tries to fill up all the seats instead. I mean, think about it. Are empty seats in an airplane waste? If you're Southwest, no. If you're every other airline in the US, yes. Because on Southwest, they say, hey, if we want rapid turnaround, we better not have a completely full plane because it takes forever to get the passengers on and off. And the other thing is we better not charge them for luggage because that will slow them down. And so they don't charge. The only US airline that does not charge extra for luggage so that people can get on a plane faster and off the plane faster, and they can have planes in the air rather than planes on the ground. They understand that they're much more like trains than they are other airlines. They want to always have something there that somebody can get on, and then you get more passengers. They're not trying to fill up the planes, they're trying to have their assets in the air as much as possible. It's a whole another way of thinking about things. And by the way, they're America's largest, most profitable, and most popular and admired airline. So it's working for them. They've had 35 consecutive years of profitability where every one of their competitors has gone bankrupt, at least once and usually twice. So they're doing something right. Another thing they're doing, just as a sort of a conclusion, they're treating people really well. They said the secret to our success, their CEO said, we're not in the airline business, we're in the customer service business. And the secret to success is to take good care of your employees, then they'll take good care of your customers, and satisfied customers will lead to a successful business. And that's their employees first, customers second, and shareholders third mantra that most people are appalled by, but it works for them. So thanks everybody.